Hi friends, this is Dr. Mara Karpel and I am back live. I hope you had some great holidays and we're so glad to be back with you after 2 weeks, well 1 week away, so it's been 2 weeks. And I promised that I would speak about making time to follow your dream. But I want to review a little bit. So if you've been watching this or listening to my program, then you might already know some of this. But I have broken down what I consider to be the essential elements of living a passionate life to 4 pillars. So without one of these pillars, a passionate life is just not sustainable. So the first pillar, these are not in any special order, okay? They're all equally important. So the first pillar is compassion. I really truly believe that we can't have a passionate life that is sustainable, that really continues to be passionate for us if we don't have compassion for other people. So having the bigger picture in mind, having loving thoughts about other people and caring about other people, and that really gives meaning and purpose to our passion. The second one is gratitude. So coming from a place of knowing that we are enough and that we have enough is a much more effective way of following our dreams than feeling that we're desperate and we have to achieve our dreams, or it'll be terrible because we just don't have enough in our life, or we aren't enough until we fulfill our dreams. So then that ruins the whole point of following our dreams and living a passionate life while doing that, because the joy is in the journey. And if you're coming from a place of desperation, then you're waiting, you're putting your joy off until you achieve your dream, which you may or may not. We don't always achieve the dream that we set out to follow, but the process of following it brings so much joy, and more dreams come true than we even thought possible. So having gratitude every day for what we already have and what we already are. We are enough. The third pillar is generosity. So being generous with what we have. Giving to other people, again, like compassion, adds that meaning and purpose to why we're following a passionate life. And it brings that magical feeling of knowing that we did something really wonderful to help another person. So I spoke about this on a previous Facebook Live, the difference between compassion and generosity. Compassion is the feeling of another person's pain and understanding what they're going through, and generosity is an action. It's doing something kind for another person. And then the fourth one, really, really important, you can't follow a dream if you don't allow yourself to have dreams. So dreaming, allowing ourselves to have dreams, being open to synchronicities along the way, and feeling, thank you, and feeling that joy of just dreaming, and no matter how old we are, no matter our age. And I've mentioned that I've worked with older adults in nursing homes and assisted and independent living communities for many years of my practice, and no matter how old you are, you still have dreams. I see a question. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Honey Beth. And so I wanted to just talk for a little while. This is not a long video, but I wanted to talk a little bit about making room to follow our dreams. So one of the biggest complaints that people have about not, how they want to follow their dreams, but they feel that they can't, the biggest obstacle, and it's an obstacle that I myself have dealt with, and that is the feeling of time, feeling that we don't have enough time. There aren't enough hours in the day to do all of the things that we need to do to earn money, to pay the bills, to take care of our families or loved ones, whatever it is that our responsibilities are, and to also be able to follow our dreams. So I want to ask you this question, because this is a question that I've asked myself, and I continually, this is a process. This is something that you have to keep asking yourself over time. Is there one thing that you're doing, that you're spending time on, that you don't have to do? Is there one thing that you can give up? That could be something that's kind of wasteful. Like sometimes I, get carried away and sitting on social media. I don't even realize how that eats away at my time when I'm on social media. It's great to be on social media, to advertise what I'm doing and to connect with people related to following my dreams, or to connect with old friends and find out how they are. But we can sort of just sit there and scroll through it and read story after story and feel bad about a lot of the things that we're reading, and all of a sudden we look up at the clock and 2 hours have gone by. Those are 2 hours that could have been used toward following our dream, following my dream. Are there things that you are doing because you feel that you're supposed to do them? And you've been doing them for a long time. You've been doing maybe even for years. And you it had a purpose when you started doing those things. But now when you think about what is that purpose, you don't know you can't remember what it is, or you can't find that purpose right now. I got you, honey. So, I started thinking about how I was doing some things that I thought that other people expected me to do. And I thought this is the right thing to do. And it was taking extra time. It was not adding anything to my life. It wasn't adding any income to my life. It wasn't helping me follow my dreams, but I was doing it because I thought that I needed to do it. And when I really looked hard at this, I realized that when I started doing one of these things, it was important, and it was contributing to other people, and it was contributing to my life, and it was a really good thing to take extra time to do that. But over time that changes. Everything changes, and I realized that same thing no longer has that same impact anymore, and it was taking up extra time. I've had my own business for 15 years now, and through the course of my practice as a psychologist, I have reinvented myself many times, and that was because I was putting my energy into one part of my business and realized that it just wasn't working anymore. At one time it was great. So I was going into nursing homes and to assisted and independent living communities. And some of those communities changed. Different people came in and I wasn't getting the same amount of referrals. Also, Medicare started cutting and Medicaid, and that was affecting my income. So I wasn't really working as much as I wanted to be. I wasn't earning as much as I wanted to be, but I was spending a lot of time driving between places, and that wasn't getting paid for the time that I drove. So I had to get over my guilt about giving that up and do something different. So I started focusing more on my office practice, where I stayed in one place and I didn't have that time wasted. And then that changed and I started working with veterans. So I had to, every time I made the choice to give something up, it was replaced by something that was better for me at that time. So each time it was replaced by something that fit better for my life at that time. And now I have this radio show, and I've been, I just wrote this book, and I'm writing blogs, and I'm trying to promote everything. So I need time to do that. So there is some sacrifice. I've had to give up social events in order to, I get home from my work, and I have to come home and focus on my passion. So I do that in the evening, and there are, I have given up some things that I want to do, but then you have to weigh it out. What do I really want to do? What is my long-term goal? Is going out to listen to music tonight as important as getting this thing done that might help to move me to the next level of promoting my book and my radio show and getting out and doing public speaking? So there is some sacrifice, but then there's also a lot of stuff that I believe we all have that we're doing that really is not helping anybody. We're just doing it because it's habit. We think we're supposed to do it. We've gotten into a rut where it's just easy to keep doing the same thing and not rock the boat. But if you really want to live a passionate life, and you really want to have that feeling of joy and purpose and meaning in your life, and that you're doing something that's really important and it gives you a reason to get up in the morning and get out of bed, then you have to ask yourself these questions, and you need to start making sacrifices. And not everybody is going to be happy with the choices that you make. When you start changing your routine, when you start doing things differently and cutting things out that were part of the routine, other people are going to be upset, not because you're doing a bad thing by doing that, but because they're used to you behaving in a certain way, and it makes them uncomfortable. I'm going to talk about that in a future video, maybe next week. I'll talk about that next week, about how when you're following your dream, you're going to have critics. You're going to have people who don't like that you're making changes in your life. For some people, following their dream is getting healthier, eating healthier food, really becoming focused on health and wellness. I know many people have changed their life through changing their diet by exercising, and that has become their passion, not only for themselves, but now that they've made this change, they want to help other people do it. But when you're on that path and you're changing your eating habits, other people aren't going to like that, because they're used to you going out to dinner with them and having cake with them or eating pie with them. They're used to you eating the things that they enjoy eating, and they don't want to have to change what they're doing. People are going to start criticizing you and saying you're not eating healthy, you're not getting enough protein if you decide to cut out meat, which is what I decided to do. Complete strangers began criticizing my eating habits because I was eating more vegetables, which defies logic for me, because I think, my mom always told me to eat my vegetables, and I think that was a common theme, to be told to eat our vegetables when we were kids. And so now that I was doing this, people were criticizing it. So there are always going to be people who are critical of it. Some of them are our family and friends because they're genuinely concerned. They don't understand what we're doing. Some of them are people who might be a little bit jealous because they see us moving forward and really starting to become alive. And they want to feel that way, but they don't want to do the work that's involved. So they're going to criticize, and then they're going to be the people that really want to keep you in that status quo because you're kind of shaking things up. So I invite you to spend some time thinking about your schedule, like really literally looking at your schedule, maybe even write down what you do every day and how long you spend on those things, and ask yourself which of those things really are not that important, and can I give that up so that I can follow some of these dreams. If you don't already have a dream that you're following, if you're not really sure what you want to do in this next chapter of your life, but you know that you want to do something different, well, maybe that time can be spent exploring options, ideas, looking at what other people are doing, reading, taking a class in something completely different that you've never done before, going to meetup groups that sound interesting. Just go to meetup.com and look what's happening in your neighborhood, finding a group of people to hike with, just going to meet other people who are passionate about what they're doing can inspire you to find your passion and to have the energy to follow your passion. So as you can tell, I get kind of excited about this because I really think that it's worth the sacrifice. It's worth getting up earlier in the morning. Okay? And I'm not telling you to quit your day job if what you're passionate about is not bringing money yet. You need to continue to pay the bills, but there are other things that you can give up. And, you know, I have met people who ended up changing their day job because they found that the job that they had took their whole life from them. They were working 12-hour days and they couldn't do anything else. They didn't have the energy to do anything else, and that wasn't their passion. So they took a little bit of maybe took a pay cut to work at a job that doesn't take as much energy and as many hours. So sometimes that's a sacrifice that people make. But I'm not telling you that you have to do that. What I am saying is that there are ways to find the time. There are things that we do that we waste our time doing, or that we're doing because we just feel that we're supposed to do it or other people expect us to. And we can start giving those things up. Because, you know, when we come to the end of our life, somebody mentioned this to me today. This is a quote that she mentioned, and it's one that is pretty common. When people come to their end of their life, it's not, the regrets don't consist of the money they didn't make. The regrets consist of the things that they didn't do, that they wished that they had done. That we don't want to die, as the saying goes, die with the dream still inside of us. As I've spoken about on my program, and I wrote about a little bit in the book, you know, when I started feeling that there was something more, it was this gnawing feeling that I knew that I liked being a psychologist, that was something, a dream that I followed, and I finally achieved it after years of school. But once I started working as a psychologist, I felt like there was something more that I wasn't doing as part of being a psychologist, that I wasn't tapping into something. And I realized that I wasn't having the opportunity to be creative. I wasn't having the opportunity to really be me and to share the things that I love and the things that I've learned. And I get really excited, like I just read this great book, or I just heard this great speaker, and he just or she just really made a huge difference in my life, and I want to share it with people. And that's something that was missing. I didn't have the chance to do that, being creative. And I just kept feeling like there was something more and something more, and it would wake me up during the night sometimes, just feeling like I'm going to die without fulfilling my purpose. And when I started doing my radio program, I felt like, wow, I felt at home. I felt like this was where I was supposed to be. That now I have a chance to actually share all these things and to be creative and to interview some of these people who have changed my life. And then I discovered that I love writing. And these have become my passion, and teaching people and public speaking and being able to reach a wider group of people than just one-on-one, and to use my creativity. But I feel like if I didn't answer that call, in spite of all of the extra time and the extra work that it costs me to do it, and even money out of my pocket to get everything going, but if I didn't answer that call, that would be a huge regret for me, and it would over time start to eat away at me and cause me to feel like life was just monotonous. So it's worth the sacrifice. It's worth giving up things, and even it's worth waking up a little earlier in the morning, or going to bed a little later, or giving up your lunch break to focus on your dream during your lunch break, or give up some of these tasks that you have taken on that aren't really that beneficial. Okay, so I consider that one of the blocks of the foundation of holding up these pillars, a block of self-care. And this is a really important part of self-care, to give yourself time. And so I'm going to end this here, and thank you for joining me this evening. And I'm going to be back next Thursday at 8 p.m. and I'm going to talk about the critics and overcoming and forgiving the critics. So have a wonderful week, and be sure to join me on Sunday. My radio show is going to be awesome. If you miss it Sunday, of course, you can catch it on podcast on my website, drmarakarpel.com, or right here on Facebook. Akshay Nanavati is going to join me to talk about his book, Fearvana, which is also about following your dreams. And his book is about embracing your fear and using it to help you to propel towards your passion and your dream. So I'm really excited about that. He's an awesome speaker, and I'm really enjoying his book. And more. We're going to have music, and I just wrote a blog last week about bullying and alliances and adolescents that haunt us when we start thinking about going to our high school reunion, because my high school reunion is coming up, my 40th high school reunion. I can't believe that. So stay tuned for more, and I would love to hear from you in the comment section. Thanks.